Hello everyone, Namaste. Welcome to the Certificate Workshop on Environmental Business, Career Progress and Dream Jobs organized by EcoNetwork. EcoNetwork is a global platform where people get the opportunity to work for nature and the environment. Our main focus is to share our knowledge with our teenagers and youth regarding the global warming, climate change, and different SDG goals. Hello, Namaste. My name is Sarup Akrel and I'm from Nepal. I'm the regional coordinator of EcoNetwork in Nepal, and today I'm the host for today's workshop on environmental business. So before moving on to the main workshop, I would like to take the privilege to welcome our speakers for the day. It's a great honor to welcome our guest for the day. We have Mr. GreenMan Matthias Gelber, who is a green entrepreneur. He is a man with a mission to start green revolution. He is the director and owner of Global Sustainability Exchange and also internationally recognized sustainability consultant. He started EcoWarrior, which is a community movement focused on taking positive action to combat climate change. In 2007, he co-founded Maleki GmbH, a German company specializing in high-performance, low-carbon footprint construction materials. He has already been an amazing and impactful speaker in around 40 countries. And he has also been felicitated with Greenest Person on the Planet 2008 and also the Green Icon of the Year Award, Asia Pacific CSR Award 2016. It's so great to have you here, sir. Welcome.
My pleasure. Thank you for welcoming me, and nice to be with all of you, and greetings to everybody that's listening today.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So now I would like to introduce our next speaker, and he is Mr. Greg Balestro from USA. And he has been a global advocate for excellence in performance management and sustainable development. In a career span of more than 40 years, he has been a project engineer, project manager, energy conservation technologist, and for the last 30 years, a senior exchange of professional membership association related to engineering and project management. He also served as the executive director of Construction Specification Institute, engaged in designing commercial and civil construction. He also served as a president and CEO of Project Management Institute. And since 2011, he has traveled and lectured globally, helping to build a sustainable planet. I would like to introduce him as a pioneer in sustainability, and it's amazing to have you here, sir. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here with Matthias and to see all of. I wish I could see each and every person personally. But my spirit is with you, and it's easy to be a pioneer when you get old and you haven't died. That's why I'm a pioneer. So, but thank you for the introduction too. That was very kind of you, so.
Now we'd like to start the workshop, and I would like to ask Mr. Matthias Gelber to start the workshop. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Saru. It's great to be here with all of you, and I don't know exactly which countries you are from, but I've heard Bangladesh, Shonardesh. I have many friends in Bangladesh. We have Nepal. We have, I think, several African countries. We have Pakistan, Nigeria. I'm not sure whether we have anyone from Ghana here. For example, I've been in Ghana. I've been in South Africa. I was in Bangladesh. I've never been in Pakistan. I've been in India. I've never been in Nepal, so still some countries to go. But if we don't fly and we give a talk like we do tonight, it's more eco-friendly because we don't have a high carbon footprint. Actually, flying was always my highest environmental impact as an individual. I live a very low environmental impact lifestyle. My electricity, especially when I was single, not yet married, was very low, less than $10. Now, since I'm married and since I have children, it's obviously much higher, because it's not just me deciding on the electricity consumption, but the whole family. But this was before, when I was voted greenest person on the planet. My electricity bill was less than $10. And I had my landlady, when I changed my house, call me up and say, "Hey, Matthias, what's wrong with you? Are you never at home? Are you always on holiday?" Because she was getting my electricity bill. And I was living in Kuala Lumpur at that time, in a place where many foreigners were living. And the British guy who had been living there before me, his electricity bill every month was more than $100. And then I moved in, and she couldn't believe that my electricity bill was less than $10. But I basically told her, you know, I have to practice what I preach. This is very important in life in general. If I can pass on to you one word of wisdom, your integrity, your word that you say and what you do, is it honest? Is it full of integrity? I know sometimes life tries to teach us that we need to bend the truth, or it's difficult when you are upright and when you're honest. But this is a very important principle, especially later on when it comes to jobs and to business. When I was your age, when I was a teenager in Germany, and I will show you some pictures later on, my late father asked me when I was 16 years old, "Son, what job do you want to get? How do you want to earn your money?" And I told him, "Dad, I don't know exactly the job yet, but my mission is to save the planet." My dad got a shock. "Hey, son, you can't make money from hugging trees. Get a proper job." You might be facing something similar. Sometimes your parents, your friends don't agree with your direction in life. Maybe they think you should become a doctor, an engineer, an accountant. Those jobs are very well defined. They are considered to be prestigious jobs, jobs with good income. Environment, saving the planet? What is that? That's not a job. Get a proper job. I still have it in my mind what my late father told me. But, you know, we have to respect our parents. But to be honest, I didn't listen to him. I knew at that time already I wanted to help doing something good for the planet. I grew up in a little village in Germany. I was surrounded by the forest, and I decided to study chemistry and then environmental science. I wanted to have the knowledge so that I can make a positive contribution to saving the planet. But when I finished my studies, it was not clear what job was I gonna take. You know what is the solution to that? Create your own job. First, work in a job to learn, to experience, to get more skills, and then create your own job that can save the planet. When I was looking for jobs, it wasn't easy. Then one professor who said, "Hey, you're so eager, you're already knowledgeable on environmental management at business, because I wrote my dissertation on environmental management systems." That's another tip. At that time, this was a wave going up. There was a new wave in industry happening, environmental management systems. ISO 14001, an international standard. It was just starting at that point in time. And I was one of the first people to get into that. I had no job experience, but in terms of knowledge, I was already very, very advanced because I was so hungry for knowledge. And I know that is the case with most of you. Most of you from Bangladesh, Nepal, Pakistan, India, and Africa, your strength is you're hungry for knowledge. You want to do something. You want to be the change. That is your biggest asset. Build on that. Do international courses. Do a diploma on Harvard, whatever else. We can do it nowadays. We are living in a world where it sometimes even is free of charge to do those kind of things. I did a course at Erasmus University on SDGs recently. It was free of charge. To get a certificate, I had to pay $30. But if I would have done it without a certificate, it would have been free of charge. So this is possible in the modern world. The world is flat. You can be sitting in Bangladesh, in Pakistan, in India, in Nepal, or somewhere in Africa, and you can be a consultant to an international project if you have the expertise, the experience, or the knowledge, and you know how to sell yourself and promote yourself. Last week, I went to Upwork. You might know this online service platform where you can advertise your services. I saw an amazing consultant for green building from Pakistan. I saw an amazing environmental consultant from Brazil, a lady, loads of experience. They are promoting their services online there. I got in touch with them because I want to hire some of them for my projects. We are living in a flat world. You might already be able to do that. I don't know whether you have heard of this Japanese concept of Ikigai. Ikigai. It's about 4 different concepts. Something that you love doing, something that the world needs, something that you can be paid for, and something that you are good at. Ask those 4 questions. You love it, the world needs it, you can be paid for it, and you are good at it. When all those 4 circles overlap, that is where Ikigai is. Google it. This is my organizer. It has it inside. Ikigai. Identify that for your life and for your mission. But let me show you, I will try and do screen share as well now. I will show you some of the pictures from Bangladesh and some of my sharing as well about what I do to live a green lifestyle. Me in my little village in Germany, that's how I grew up. My friends are behind me. I was always playing in the forest. This was my first visit to Bangladesh, Notre Dame College. I hope we've got some friends from Notre Dame College here. Amazing experience. I was so inspired by you guys from Bangladesh because you're so eager to learn new things. Here are some of the friends from the class there where I gave an eco talk. And I was so happy to hear. And do you notice something? I'm wearing the same shirt. I reuse this shirt again and again. I've been wearing it more than 300 times. I wash it, it looks like brand new. I love giving talks and inspiring young people. This is me all over the world with the green shake, here giving talks in Malaysia, on television in Malaysia, Bangladesh giving a seminar on renewable energy, energy efficiency, how we can make the environment more green. This is Kurigram province, me on a boat crossing the river. You can see on the roadside the erosion. Bangladesh is one of the countries most at threat from climate change. There used to be a school there on the bank of the river. The school already disappeared because of erosion. Those are the impacts of climate change. I was even in a magazine next to Obama when I won the greenest person on the planet award. But this guy is even more greener than me. I'll tell you at the end why. I love being bald because it saves time, it saves water, it saves shampoo. It's a joke, but at the same time, there's a little bit of truth in it. Who wants change? Everybody wants change. Who wants to be the change? Then the hands are down. But we need to be the change. Like the former German ambassador to Malaysia. He was using this basket for 40 years all over the world to avoid the plastic bags while shopping. This lady in the Philippines reduced 30% of her electricity consumption in her factory, and her employees gave me an eco-friendly gift when I was giving my talk there. I've given many TEDx talks. Eco-conscious lifestyle is the foundation of a greener and sustainable community. This starts with us. When you shop something, can you buy a more eco-friendly thing? This is my coffee. It's organic coffee. I try where possible to have organic coffee. This is my underwear. It's made from organic cotton from India. Say no to plastic straws. But this shop was giving plastic utensils. But lucky, I had my bamboo utensils with me and I could avoid it. This is me with my family. Go out there in the green, connect with the green. This is my baby daughter using the straw instead of having a plastic straw. This is our house. We don't have a big garden, but we turned our balcony into the garden. And this is how my baby daughter became a lover of green. When we had the christening of my baby daughter, we made it a zero waste event. We used solar candles at the christening. We used straws for everybody. We had zero waste. The dress that my daughter is wearing is recycled from our neighbors, and we planted 30 fruit trees. For the first time, Grandma from the Philippines experienced the green event. Now she is making dolls for my daughter from recycled material that she finds in the local river or in her home. We can go green. We have so much food waste. This is the countries that are polluting the oceans most. And you can see in there Philippines, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Egypt, Thailand, Malaysia, Nigeria, Bangladesh as well. We have to work together to avoid the plastic waste going into the ocean. This is a simple recycling system that I set up in my condo in Malaysia. We help the cleaners to make more money by them being able to sell the recyclables in the recycling system in Malaysia. That is some extra money that our cleaner could make. We just set it up, and after we set it up, the recycling rate went up from 100 kilos to more than 300 kilos each month. Simple things can be done. My friend here actually turns old wood in the middle there. You can see that I actually have the items here. This is from old pallets, industrial wood pallets. He cleans up the pallets, shaves off the dirty part, and turns it into beautiful icons. You can turn waste into material. On the right-hand side, it says eco-certified tray for restaurants. And on the left-hand side, he makes some Muslim-designed icons for menswear and women's wear from the waste material, from those other products. We can do a lot of different things. We can build green communities. Now we have the COVID crisis. This is what I do at home. I measure the air quality. This is another amazing job opportunity. People want to live healthy. They want to have green buildings. I already messaged one of my Facebook friends in Bangladesh. They are experts for green building. I asked them to import a product from Malaysia that is a coating, an eco-friendly coating for surfaces that kills the coronavirus. Instead of having to apply the disinfectant every other hour because the disinfectants only last for a very short time. This consultant for green building, as well from Bangladesh, I invited him to come to my podcast. I'm launching a podcast soon. So these are some ideas. These are some examples that I'm showing to you guys. Energy efficiency is a great job opportunity. One of the biggest costs to business and to our homes is electricity consumption. You can do real-time energy monitoring. There are IoTs, there are systems. The latest one is virtual audits remotely. If you can handle data, if you can collect data and use the intelligence from the data, you can help people to save electricity at home and as well in industry. These are my tips for the home. That's how I was able to achieve an electricity bill of less than $10 in my home. This is an eco-friendly home that I built in Malaysia, a tiny home. But that was just before I moved to the Philippines. So that's why I'm not living in it anymore. Huge business opportunity to build green homes. Just last week, in a startup competition in the Philippines, on CNN show, The guy who won it is a guy who is building tiny eco homes. I have an investment in Panama, which is an eco-friendly forest. Even our money investment and jobs related to money investment can be green. But remember, I wanted to show you this guy again. He was working at the plantation of my friend Roger, the late Roger Yu. He passed away in 2008. When he passed away, I was so shocked that the next day I started Eco Warriors Malaysia in his legacy. He planted more than 10,000 trees just so that his son one day would be proud of his dad. He didn't want to make money from these trees. He just wanted these trees to grow and help the planet. Isn't that amazing? Some things we can do for good return on investment, but other things we can do just for the planet. This person was working there, never traveling, eating simple local food. He has even a lower carbon footprint than me. What is going to be our legacy? Together we can heal our common home. The late Roger Yu was an eco-friendly businessman. He helped as well to invest in the German company that I co-founded, which makes eco-friendly building material. Instead of using cement for that German company, we are using waste material from blast furnace slag from steel making or from coal-fired power plants, and we replace the cement. That way we have a very low carbon technology and high performance technology. Every day is Earth Day. You can make a new startup. You can come up with a new business idea to heal the planet and make a living at the same time. So let me finish off with this kind of picture of my baby daughter. She was hugging and kissing the tree without me asking her to do it. This is one of the reasons why I want to accelerate even more, that we have green jobs, green business, things that heal the planet, because for the sake of our children, and you guys are too young, most of you, to have children, but some of you might have children in the future. Unless we act now and develop green jobs, green business, the future for our children will be bleak. I need your help. We need your help. Greg and myself, we are already the older generation. We have done it. We have both written a book. I'll show you my book. And I have a good news for you at the end. I will share a link where you can download my book free of charge. This is my book, The Green Man's Guide to Green Living and Working. Can you see my book? This is the book that you will be able to download free of charge. It's printed only on recycled paper. To make my book, no tree was cut. I measured the carbon footprint. I paid some money for some forest in Panama, so it sucks up more carbon dioxide than my book printing consumed. So the book had a healing impact on the planet, each book. And it was printed with ink made from mushroom. There are so many business opportunities to come up with new green innovations, such as ink from mushrooms, such as meat replacement food from mushrooms. You can come up with energy efficiency solutions. There are so many things you can do. There are so many green opportunities out there. Unless we all work in healing the planet, we will face big climate change risks. And with COVID-19, we have seen the impact of a global crisis. With COVID-19, we might be able to find a vaccine. Once we have a 2 Celsius climate increase temperature, there is no vaccine. That's why we need to act now. I want to hand over to Greg and share his experience. He has written an amazing book on how companies can go green and benefit from it. He has done loads of amazing work in the US. I come from Germany. I've worked in England. I've worked in Malaysia. I've worked in the Philippines. So we have a real global perspective with Greg sharing his experience from the US. Over to you, Greg.
Thanks very much, Matthias. And thank you for your opening remarks. It was very exciting to hear what you had to say. And I think the exciting part about all of this is that it is now an important topic of discussion. My focus has been in corporate performance and trying to get corporations to change so that they become better environmental, social, and ethical citizens in the world. And I emphasize the word ethics, and I'll get back to that later. I think that, and I believe, and I've noted and seen that the world is filled with opportunities for anybody that wants to really improve the world, because corporations all over the world have been and continue to be working towards that end. My problem is they're working too slow. I think the UN report on climate change that came out last fall told us all that we have a short period before the damages are irreversible. Now, it doesn't mean a collapse of the world by any means, but it does mean that the world as we know it will continue to decline, and we will see a different world coming. Now, climate change is something that people think of the word climate and they immediately think it's all about change in storm patterns. But when we talk about climate change, we're talking about heating up the oceans and having the oceans increase in level. We think about Arctic and Antarctic ice flows melting and rising seas and changing the salinity of the water. We think about bleaching of coral and how it takes away the foodstuffs for fish. It's a real challenge. And before I talk about jobs, I just want to emphasize a couple of things. Number one, no matter what you do in the world, you're part of a system. There's no job. It's part of you will be a piece of the puzzle of whatever's happening in your world. So you have to think of it, I believe, as a system. There is no element, and it's a closed system. We are nothing more than a spaceship flying through the galaxy. We are closed. What happens in Bangladesh or in Cameroon or in Germany or in the United States affects all of you. You're not immune to it. There are some people who think you can build walls around countries to protect them, but you can't, because the air we breathe, the climate we emit to, the water we drink is a closed system. And less than 0.1% of the water on the planet is drinkable. And so it doesn't matter whether we're in the United States or in China. There's very little clear drinking water, and it's a precious, precious commodity. So we have to think in terms of the system, and I believe that. And the companies that are leading the way in that are thinking as a system and starting to believe that they have an impact wherever they work. The second thing is, and it's something that it's hard to tell somebody in their first job, but you have the opportunity to take your first job and ask the question, is it the right job for what I want to do in the world? And that's a hard question to ask, especially when you graduate and you're unemployed and you think, I want to work in this field, so I need to take a job. But I think you should be as critical as you possibly can and ask the questions. Why am I doing this job? What is the company about? Are they good global and environmental citizens? Have they proven themselves to be a citizen of my community that I can rely on if there is a problem? And those questions are hard to ask and they're hard to answer, but they're questions that should be asked from the very first job you work in, and the sooner, the better. Third, I would say that because every job today is changing, I think the companies are and it's evident. When I wrote this book and I did the research, there were thousands of companies around the world that were recognized for their environmental work. We had to do a framework to select only 22 out of the thousands of companies. But we had to see if these companies were legitimate, they were ethical, they were honest, and I think full of integrity, as Matthias said, that they were going to be there doing the right thing. BMW, for example, invests heavily in fighting AIDS all over the world. And why? To them, it's a risk to their production to build the finest automobiles in the world in places all over the world. So in a way, it's a business risk to them, but they commit to it. They committed to it in Africa. They committed to it in Jakarta. They commit to it in China, whether they build a factory or build a place where orphan children who come away from the loss of two parents to AIDS can go and get an opportunity for living and an education. So it's the company that you may work for, the job that you may do. That company becomes a part of your corporate family. Select the family and make sure it's the right family for you. And I think that there are many elements to this future that we talk about and working on it. And I don't want to minimize your work by saying you're in a green field. I think that's certainly by saying a green job, it immediately makes it's an easy picture to see. But when you think about a green job in today's world, corporations are moving to become both environmental, social, economic, and ethical citizens, good citizens. And so if part of that issue is becoming more environmentally sensitive, there will be an opportunity to work in other areas within the company that are part of their strategy for becoming better citizens of the world. And it's not a minor issue. What brings this to mind is a story, and I'm sure many of you have heard this story, where there are three people working on a brick wall. And you come up and you ask the first person, "What are you doing?" And the person says, "Well, I'm laying brick." And they went, "Wow, that's good. And you're a certified bricklayer, and it's a great job." And he says, "I love my job. I make money, and I help my family." He goes to the next person, and he says, "What exactly are you doing?" And he says, "Well, I'm building a wall." And he's laying brick, and he's a certified brick builder, and he's making money, and he has livelihood for his parents, his family. And he sees it as a wall. He goes to the third person, and he says, "Well, what are you doing?" And the person smiles, and he steps back, and he admires his work, and he says, "I'm building a home." And I think when we think about getting a job, we don't want to think about it as laying a brick. We want to keep in mind, what are we doing long term? What are we creating out here? Coca-Cola, which is considered to have the most identifiable brand in the world. You look at the Coca-Cola brand, you go, "Oh, I know what that is." And you think, well, Coca-Cola is a product. Some people think it's too much sugar. It's a bad product. They happen to be the largest juice producer in the world and the largest bottled water producer in the world, and have done more in the advancement of recyclable and sustainable packaging than any other company. So they have an interesting brand. What they did was for every liter of Coca-Cola in the year 2000, they used 9 liters of water, and it wasn't recycled. Now, this is in a world where less than 0.1% of our water is drinkable. Well, they made as a goal that 2020, they would be water neutral. In other words, they would take all that wastewater, whatever excess water, they would recycle it, make it drinkable, so they would have they would be water neutral in their production of their products. And that was a 20-year goal. and they made it in 2018, and they are exceeding it now. And they only own 10% of their bottlers. All the other bottlers, 1,100 of them, are independent franchises all over the world. But they took water stewardship as their passion. Now, that might not be a green job in the Coca-Cola area, but the water stewardship program hired many, many people who would focus on that job. So that's why I think thinking about the world, the opportunity that you face here is one of the greatest opportunities. There is a sense of urgency that has never been there before. Being an old man, you can look back and I can see times when, and sadly, I worked in environmental issues and energy conservation in the 1970s. And in the United States, we had a change of administration. Everything stopped. Now we continue to make progress, but not at the rate I thought. But now, today, there is so much visibility surrounding the environment and surrounding the world as we know it to make change that you're going to face job opportunities with an incredible sense of urgency to make positive change in the world. And that is the most exciting thing. It's something to run towards, not run away from. And that's another element you should look for in a job. They have become a social citizen, part of the communities in which they work. They have to be, because it is their labor force, their workforce all over the world that is going to be doing the jobs that they want done. They must also be working towards some economic parity, some economic support to try to create jobs that are worthwhile and productive and have good pay for them as well as benefits. And then finally, the issue of ethics. And I bring up ethics, and I'll go back to what Matthias said about full of integrity. There are companies that we have seen, such as Volkswagen, companies like Enron, that have deceived their customers, the people that they support. And when you and I buy a product, if I buy a cup, we have what's called a latent trust, a hidden trust. This cup is safe for me. I can take a cup of tea and drink it, and the lining of the cup and the paint will not come off. I don't ask if it will come off. I trust that it will. And if the company guarantees it, then we have a bond of trust between us. And when a company fails that, your job will be destroyed. And those are things that I call a crisis of conscience. Your conscience is probably the thing that will lead you most in the world as it comes in the future. In your heart, when you witness something and you're working for a company and you witness something like those who were involved in the deception of Volkswagen, there is a point where you have to say, do I want to continue this? Do I want to continue being part of this deception? Or even though it's the greatest job you've ever had, the most wonderful job, and in thinking, well, we'll get past this and we'll be able to make green cars and everything will be wonderful. Or will you say, I don't trust them anymore because they're my employer. If they're lying to the public, what would they be doing to me? Those are called crises of conscience. And it's one thing I preach about, if you'll forgive the term preach. It is the most valuable asset you have. That asset is your heart and your mind working together to understand what the crisis might be, to make you turn your back on a job and say, I can't support this anymore. I have to find another way. So I just think of the system for sure as you apply for jobs. Secondly, there are many, many jobs in corporations, and companies are fighting to reduce carbon emissions and to become sustainable organizations and socially responsible organizations and ethically sound organizations. So it's exciting. The urgency, though, is a lot of pressure. And if you interview for a job and they don't see the sense of urgency, you have to say, excuse me, have you been watching the news anytime recently? Because there is so much urgency in the world to end divisiveness, to end social discord, to create a planet that's going to sustain us for longer than 10 years. So I think you're at the greatest time in our history, and certainly in your life, to make a difference in the world.
Thank you so much, sir. We had really amazing discussion, because this topic, green jobs and everything, like whatever you said, we need to create opportunity out of this. We have lots and lots of opportunities that we need to grab it and just utilize. So that was amazing listening to you, Mr. GreenMan and Mr. Greg. Thank you so much for your wonderful perspective on this topic. Likewise, I was very interested, because all these eco-friendly technologies and eco-friendly responsive opportunities that we are getting these days, we need to be mindful about use of this kind of technologies, so that we can just contribute to our sustainability of the environment. So that was my learning, and thank you so much. I would like to thank Mr. GreenMan and Mr. Greg for your wonderful presence on today's workshop. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and after this, I would like to again tell you everyone that this was the workshop. So this was the workshop on environmental business that was conducted by EcoNetwork. So I would like to give a few insights. I'm sure you must be curious what EcoNetwork is. So we have a group of youths, we have a group of global network that works towards the environmental sustainability, focusing on different sustainable goals. And we focus the teenagers and youth to be the primer in awareing the community, the country, about environmental things, because we believe it should be from the start. Environmental education should be from the start, so that we can learn more and contribute towards the environmental sustainability in the future. So in that way, we have been trying to organize we have been trying to undergo advocacy in different levels for environment and the awareness. And in the same time, we have been also organizing different kinds of creative engagement programs from EcoNetwork that you can be part of, like in Vision 2020. If you can go through our page and check that, in Vision 2020 is one of the great opportunity to show your talent, and as well as contribute towards environment, and also have your ideas on how can you promote the environment. And along with that, we have different youth ambassadors in different countries of EcoNetwork. So I am from Nepal, and I am the regional ambassador of EcoNetwork for Nepal. Likewise, we have different regional ambassadors, youth ambassadors, and different people working as a team. We belong to different countries, but we are connected with a common aim. So that's what EcoNetwork is, guys. So if you are interested to be the part of EcoNetwork, you can always reach out to us through our page. You can always apply to be the part of our team, and let's work for the common aim, common goal towards environmental sustainability.